What up, and welcome back to another Malazan Book of the Fallen video. This time we're digging deeper into the enigma that is Quick Ben. Who is he? What is he? What's he hiding? What pieces did we miss? And what can we kind of piece together from all the different bits and pieces of evidence that we found throughout the book? So this one should be a lot of fun. Let's get into it. Fair warning, this one has spoilers all the way through the main 10. We even touch on some of the things that happen in speculation about Kharkanas, Path to Ascendancy, the ice stuff. And so if you mind spoilers or you're worried about finding something out about Quick Ben that you don't want to, now's your chance to jump out. For everybody else, I would say that this is one of the benefits of joining the Discord. I have no dog in the fight. If you join the Discord, there's nothing in it for me except for the ability to nerd out with you. But this was a conversation that stemmed from us chatting in there one day. And actually, I posed a question about the Azath houses as I was finishing Deadhouse Gates, and it kind of spiraled off into this whole conversation about Quick Ben. And specifically what I was starting out asking was that at the end of DG, we see Fiddler, Mappo, Icarium, Sari, Crocus, Pust, all of them inside Tremorlor, inside the Azath house, and they see the mosaic tile floor where some correspond to the current deck of dragons, but there's like tiles for every deck or every iteration of possible decks that have ever existed that are then tied to kind of physical worlds that exist somewhere out there in this kind of universe, multiverse, whatever it is. And so what I was wondering was whether the Azath kind of created the Azathanai and spun them out as kind of folks to oversee and be aspected to all of these different parts of the universe or multiverse or whatever. And so they're kind of there out in these different worlds with these different races, etc., to kind of nudge and shape events and kind of get snowball effects rolling that set kind of, humanity or civilization or whatever you want to call it, life, snowballing down a specific path. And if so, like, to what end? What is their goal? We don't know what they're trying to achieve. There's obviously agency there, right? They decide to break up Pust from Icarium and Mappo. There's definitely some kind of a premeditation there. We just don't know what the psychology is or what the goals are, what they're aiming for. And so it's just a very mysterious part of the whole series.
The world may never know.
You know, is it just to like see these cultures rise and then have them fall and continue the cycle on, and war and futility, really heavy stuff? Is it to create this kind of pain and suffering and, compassion aspect and empathy that comes with that, and to really get people to feel? We just really don't know. But again, we know there's some kind of a deep consciousness there because, Race talks about how his own Azath kind of wanted something a certain way. He didn't really question it. He just kind of took it as a given. But there's actually a desire there or some, again, agency. We know that they deliberately chose Ganos after having gone into Dragnipur and having the encounter with the Hounds of Shadow. He was deliberately selected. It wasn't just a kind of happy accident. He was in the right place at the right time. He was chosen. And same thing, again, going back to the Fiddler, Mappo, Icarium. They deliberately let, Pust fall through in one place, Mappo and Icarium in another place, and had Fiddler and Crocus and Apsalar come out in Malaz. And again, when you think about what Race said when they visit him, is that they, clearly have their own machinations going on. And actually, one of the best descriptions that I liked about the Azath was that in some ways the Azath are to the elder gods what the elder gods are to regular people, right? Because the elder gods are kind of this, nebulous, opaque enigma that they don't really understand. And when you go to Kharkanas, you see that in many ways, that's how the Azath are to the Azathanai. Krull, Grisenfarl, Draconis, they don't really know where they came from or what their purpose is either. And they kind of are all up to their own games and tricks.
I don't get it.
And so how does this, we've spent 5 or 7 minutes or however long talking about the Azath. How does this link back to this video, which is about Quick Ben? It all starts with a quote, and I'm going to read it. It's the poem that starts chapter 24 of Gardens of the Moon.
I am the house imprisoning in my birth demonic hearts, so locked in each chamber, some trembling enraged antiquity, and these roots of stone spread the deepest cracks in parched ground, holding forever the dream of fruit. Ah, pilgrims, come to my door and starve.
And it's from a book called Azath by Adaephon B. Adaephon B, Ben Adaephon Delat, wrote a book called Azath.
But that's impossible!
And so for me, again, it just all begs the question of who the F is Quick Ben? That little guy is freaking holding out on us. So, you know, what I take from that is that, like, how the F does Quick Ben know so much about the Azath? Not just that he knows about the Azath, something that, you know, Grisenfarl, Krull, Draconis, Night Chill, don't know, but knows actually so much that he can even write an entire book called Azath. And then taking it even another step further is that it was such a, kind of consequential book on the subject that it's used as source material that gets referenced by Kamenzad when he's actually writing this Book of the Fallen.
My brain hurts!
And so again, this is just more evidence that Quick Ben is either super duper old, like the Coria Delat / Aranthan theories are true, or he has some other source of like super deep knowledge that's not even possessed by the elder gods themselves. And ultimately it just really, either way reinforces this idea that Quick Ben is just such a ridiculous enigma of the whole series. And every time we learn something, we learn that he's much more than we had thought, even up to that stage, no matter how many times we keep getting surprised.
Fool me once, strike one. But fool me twice, strike three.
But his backstory is just like super shrouded in shadows. Let's look at his interaction with Mother Dark at the end of The Crippled God.
When he spoke, his tone was apologetic. Ah, mother, it's old blood, I don't deny it. Old and thin. He hesitated and then said, "Tell father, I make no apologies for my choice. Why should I? No matter. The two of us did the best I could," he grunted in humor. And you might say the same thing.
And then he also says this.
If he'd wanted blind obedience, he should have kept me chained. And you, mother, you should have kept me a child forever, there under your wing. He sighed, somewhat shakily. We're still here, but then we did what you both wanted. We almost got them all. The one thing none of us expected was how it would change us. He glanced back again momentarily, and it has. You do your part, mother. Let father do his, if he's of a mind to. But it comes down to us, so stand back. Shield your eyes, because I swear to you, we will blaze. When our backs are against the wall, mother, you have no idea what we can do.
And so his whole interaction there with Mother Dark is just super weird. So he talks to her and his dad as if they're his real parents, but I think there's something a lot more deep and fundamental going on besides just this kind of Mother Dark, Father Light creation mythos aspect to the parentage. It would seem much more personal than that to me. And so which leads me back to the question of like, who do you think he is? Or what is he? Because originally I thought that he was Coria Delat because of the linkage with the dolls, the similarity between the names, the red herring of Aranthan, who I think is really, Ruth Ann Good. And so I kind of thought the us part of that quote was kind of the Tist aspect with him being Coria and linked to the Tistan D and the whole thing with, going back to Bauchelain and accessing, darkness again. Or I thought it could have been like the human piece, right? Because he's lived amongst humans for so long and has kind of become one of them and will fight and die for them now to defend them. But what's weird is that he talks about himself in this kind of weird fourth person us when he's talking about his relationship with Mother Dark, which would have predated his ingesting of all those souls back during Raraku, and we know that he has a lot of souls within him, but he was calling himself us at a time way before that ever happened. And so there's this whole split personality identity thing that is kind of underlying Quick Ben as well.
I won't go schizo, will I?
He talks about how the two of us did the best that I could, how we had no idea how it would change us. But throughout all of those, he's like referring to himself, not other people, or at least that's my reading of it. And he talks about how they should have kept him with them if they didn't want any of this stuff to happen. And so again, he was there from jump, back at the creation of dark and light. And so regardless, there's obviously some deep connection between him and Mother Dark for sure.
We're like brothers, only closer.
Could he maybe be like a shard of the Azathanai that, Mother Dark is also kind of created from? This would be like similar to kind of like a Decim Decembre, where there's like, a piece of him that's out wandering the world as a mortal human being, but also like an ascendant god or whatever. Or maybe they're both connected as pieces of like this bigger god. Maybe that's Draconis. Maybe it's somebody else. I don't really know, but there's definitely a connection, and they seem, really actually like connected, like they used to be together. Or I'm curious to know what you think. Let me know down below. But he also tells Mother Dark,
I've been among them for so long now. What you gave me is the barest whisper in the back of my soul. You offered scant regard for humans, and now it's all coming down. But I give you this. He swung the horse round. Now it's our turn. Your son opened the way. And as for his son, well, if he wants the scepter, he'll have to come and take it.
He says your son opened the way, and that's clearly a reference either to Rake leading the Andi into the human world or the gate opening back up into Crippled God, but he's obviously got some beef with some of the Tist Andi bigwigs. It almost seems like he's like a great uncle to Namander or something, like he wants to see him kind of step up and earn it, almost treats him the same way Andaris does. And so kind of what we can glean with relative certainty is, A, he's got some kind of a really deep connection to Mother Dark. 2, we know that he is acting against the wishes of Mother Dark and his father, whoever that is. We know that he is not human, but that he's been with them for so long that he feels like they're his people, and that Mother Dark only gave him the barest whisper. And 4th, we know that one of Rake's sons wants the Scepter of Darkness, and Quick Ben goes super Charlton Heston on him.
From my cold, dead hands.
And so now it's time for the speculation, right? Because if he is truly like an elder god and he has all of these, powers that, predate even the creation of darkness and stuff like that, that would seem to suggest that kind of Aranthan theory of him being an Azathanai might bear some fruit or actually hold up, right? Based on that piece. But then based on that, the theory kind of falls apart unless there's some weird time-shifting thing happening, right? Because we know that he was older than Spite and Envy, which means that he was born before Draconis' relationship with Mother Dark, but then he would have to have been somehow born after Spite and Envy to be, for the timing to line up. And so he seems older than them, but really is younger than them and have some weird growth thing. I think that just doesn't really work. And if he was Aranthan, then it would also mean that the whole linkage between Korea and the dolls and the similarity of the names was totally a red herring for Quick Ben. It would also mean that the linkage and all the foreshadowing that Aranthan becomes Ruthann Good is also a total red herring and wouldn't be correct if Aranthan became Quick. But if Quick was Aranthan, it would kind of explain all these crazy powers that he has just as a function, again, of being an Azathanai. And it might also be his source for all the knowledge for his book, The Azath, is that he's actually a piece of the Azathanai and has made, a lifetime of studying and figuring these things out. More problems with the Aranthan Quick Ben theory, though, is that Quick Ben was a little kid, right? Had a little sister who we meet in the books and actually physically see, who hasn't been around since time immemorial. That's a huge problem for Quick Ben being an Azathanai. And we see all this through both his perspective and her perspective, so it kind of F's up the whole Aranthan Azathanai angle. The answer to that one would be, and this came up in the discussions, is that, we never actually see Quick Ben growing up. We get this all kind of through the memories of Toraval, his sister, and it's possible that he could have Makra'd in some of those memories to make her think that he was there as a brother when she was growing up and that they were both little kids together. That's not outside of the limits of what Quick Ben is capable of. Especially, he easily could have done something that Dasim does, where he kind of adopts that person in Path to Ascendancy and that becomes his daughter, and then, Quick Ben could have easily done something analogous and implanted memories that made her feel like they actually grew up together. And actually, that could really explain why he never wants her to know that he's there and that we never see them actually interacting together during the books, too. The other arguments in favor of him being Koria is that Koria and Hout actually visit the Spar of Andi, which is a really rare place that not that many people go. And there's that linkage when Quick seems to have returned to the Spar of Andi rather than just going for the first time himself back in, I think it was Toll the Hounds or one of the later books. See, so, all that time and we still don't have any answers, but that's why this series is so dope, right? Because you can start out asking a question about the Azath and the Azath houses and the deck of dragons, and then end up going down the rabbit hole talking about Kharkanas and Azathanai and who Quick Ben is and Koria and Hout and Ruth Ann Good and all of that stuff. You ask a simple question and you end up spending 30-40 minutes talking about something completely different. That's the other reason why I say join the Discord. Again, I don't I don't have a dog in the fight. It's just a fun place to chat Malazan. So if you're into that and you like these kind of discussions, then by all means, you can always comment down below, and I try and get back to each and every one of those. But you can also come in and go to the next level of nerddom with conversations like this in the Discord. But we'll go ahead and leave that one there. I look forward to all the comments and having some education in what you guys think. I'm sure you know a lot more than me. So if you like it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you like these types of videos mixed in with the chapter by chapter stuff. I like to get through, and I have a goal to get through all 10 books, but I want it to be fun for the Malazan vets too, and to really get into the deep spoilery stuff. So have fun, click subscribe, turn on notifications, and until the next time, happy reading.